Direction of cure, flares, and herxing. We're going to talk about how to know that you're healing and just some key immune therapy reminders. Remember, all of our team has gone through this process, so we want you to be bringing your questions, your concerns. That's why you're in care so that we can support you. But an increase in symptoms is normal. Okay, so within 72 hours of taking a vial or a no-sode homeopathic, which is going to be any of our Hey Hey bottles that are in red, you're typically going to see a bit of symptom load associated with that infection. So, when you take Lyme vials, I would feel really exhausted. I would have some joint pain, and that would pop up within, a day or so. Do not adjust your protocol. If you have symptoms popping up, reach out to your practitioner, use messaging. If you've got questions or issues, do not communicate. And remember, you should be scheduling your 30-minute calls around vials 4 and 7 if you're working through SSR kits. And you want to do that on both the up and the down series. So go ahead and look at your calendar and get those scheduled because that will help you to check in. Those are typically the vials where we have a little bit more struggle. I kind of want to teach you a larger way to think about it too. In homeopathy, there are some laws of cure. And that is what the immune therapy process is. It's founded in homeopathic practices. So learning these help bring some comfort for me as I walk through the pathogen-specific immune therapy process. These are also laws that we are thinking through and observing when we're watching you, when we're taking into account your full history that we've gone through. So they come from Constantine Herring. They're called Herring's Law of Cure, pretty classic homeopathic information. Symptoms move from outermost organs. Oop, let me correct myself. Symptoms move from innermost organs to outer. So think about vital organs internally, like your stomach and your bowels. If you take a remedy for food poisoning, you may have diarrhea or vomiting. When you take that, and that's just the body trying to move from inner to the outer, right? Or when you start strep, a lot of people will have drainage from their nose. Same with the mold and fungus wheel. You're going to have drainage from your nose. Your kiddo may start having a runny nose every day. They may get a little more cruddy. Eyes are a little weepy. Things are moving from the innermost to the outermost, and we like to see that. From within to without is a win. Second, cure takes place from above to below. Think brain to toes. So symptoms will kind of drip off the body, if you will, starting from the head and clearing downwards towards the hand and feet at the end. This also means if you have hand and feet stuff pop up at the ends, that's okay. The last 2 weeks of immune therapy can be weird. We can have more symptom uptake. That's the end of the pathogen really like hanging on. And that means that hands and feet tend to be last affected. Sometimes we'll even see skin eruptions at the end. So if your kid has had great progress with their eczema, you're almost to the end and you're like, this is great. Like maybe you're contemplating not finishing because it's so great. You must finish. There may be a flare. Skin eruptions at the end actually are a sign of cure and a sign of moving towards healing. So third one is reverse order from original sequence. So if we look back through your health history at your symptom load over time, we're going to see things that happen maybe more recently pop back up. They're going to happen in reverse order. So we're going to kind of go from that original sequence. So if your current issue is asthma, but in the past you've struggled with eczema, it's quite likely that the eczema will resurface. And we want to think about that as the body is pushing out and processing that past issue. And things may not go in the exact order because the body can prioritize what is the most important for the individual. But if you have a past symptom load popping up, I don't want you to think, oh no, this isn't working. Now I'm dealing with those headaches I used to deal with. No, it absolutely is working. And the homeopathy law of cure says that past issues will essentially be processed. This is so key when we're doing detoxing. So if you're doing metals talks or EnviroTox or birth control talks or any of the tox line, those are going to be our green bottles. You are going to see past symptoms pop up. Steroid tox, that's a huge one. When I worked through steroid tox, I had to use an inhaler for a season when I lived in mold and I had whooping cough. And guess what happened? I did have some light respiratory, just like, like when you first start to feel like you're getting sick and you got a little glimmer of a something going on in your chest, just like that. That really was all I experienced. And it came in and rolled out and moved on. But that was a really good example of a past issue that had been suppressed that's coming out as a part of healing. So, how do we know if a remedy is working? And this can apply to immune therapy, like bigger process, down to I'm using arsenicum album because I ate some not good food or I'm feeling kind of yucky or worried. We're going to see a slow and gentle reduction of symptoms. So homeopathy is slow, but that's because your body really does work slowly. Like you are not a slot machine where we put something in and we get a response. You didn't get sick in a day. You got sick over a long period of time. And so what we want to see is a slow and also therefore gentle reduction of symptoms. Just like the turtle wins the race, right? Like he goes slow and steady. That's what we want to see. If we're going to see like a rabbit response really quickly, guess what? We're going to end up back in the same places that we've been. So, slow and gentle reduction of symptoms over time. Experiencing the symptoms associated with the pathogen was within 72 hours of dose. So if we're dosing a strep pathogen and you feel really anxious, maybe you have diarrhea, maybe your belly hurts a little bit within 72 hours, that is a win. That means we are moving that pathogen. If you're dosing anaplasma and you get a headache that night, that is a win. Go use your red light, drink lots of water, support yourself, but that is so good because we're seeing that pathogen be addressed in the body, and there's going to be some symptom load as it expresses and moves out of the body. So, a detox reaction can come along, like a loose stool or really stinky poops, a rash, a slight flare in symptoms. Those are actually all signs that a remedy's working because we're moving out what we're trying to address. More energy after you dose. Sometimes people say, oh my gosh, on the boba night, I feel so good. I just feel like I've got all the energy and I don't have any of my Lyme exhaustion. That's really great. That happens a lot with kids. They tend to feel better. They don't have as much, they don't have years and years of pathogen load in the body, and they tend to just feel really good. That also can happen during 1Ms, 10Ms as you move on. Even if SSRs are hard, sometimes those 1M and 10 bottles bring you more energy. Sometimes you may also notice in yourself or your child if a remedy is working sleepy or more need for sleep. I think about my boys when they have a fever and I dose belladonna. They almost always knock right out. They wake up with no fever, with no issue. We move right on. They need a little nap, but their body needed that space to kind of detox and work and clear stuff out for other systems like the immune system to really be working full power. And the detoxification system works when the best when you're asleep. So sleep is a pretty normal thing. I want you to give yourself that rest and sleep, especially if you're working through Lyme and co-infections, especially if you're working through mold and toxicities. It's hard on the body. Giving the body sleep and time to repair and restore and detoxify, package up all that trash and get it out is key. If we're not sleeping well, if we're not sleeping enough, that's usually the issue. If we're not allowing ourselves rest when the body asks for it, we're going to have a harder time and a slower progression towards healing. Other signs that a remedy is working. Dreams of life from the past, really vivid dreams, memories, dreams sometimes that feel significant, memories that feel significant, which this leads into the next one, emotional release. When I began my detox kit after my bite, because I had a bite, I had acute Lyme. The amount of crying, I would be just crying, and I'm like, I'm not really sure why I'm crying. I'm not really sad. I totally feel good and fine here, but like my eyes and my nose are still running, and I'm still crying. Those sort of things can be like a release. They can also be drainage. So, very interesting. Sometimes we'll see kids get upset right away. Upset in that they're crying, not upset in that it's really, really intense. But we can also see anger. We can see a lot of joy pop up, and feeling compelled to shift or confront or address emotional and relational unhealth. Those things are all signs of healing and also are things that can happen with a remedy. Better eye contact in our kids, more sociable, better social skills, increased confidence, more willingness to talk and communicate, all signs that a remedy is working. And then also we can just see classic immune responses. We can see flushing, we can see a fever, we can see that exhaustion again. So don't think that like, oh no, we took a remedy today and now we have a little fever. If you take a Coxsackie remedy and we're addressing hand, foot, mouth, pretty good odds there's going to be a little fever bump. Parvo, just the same. We're going to see flushing. We're going to see a little bit of a fever, and we'll see that drop off. You can still support those in the same way that you would if your kid popped a fever in any other circumstance. We would recommend using belladonna or chamomilla, two homeopathic remedies. But yeah, absolutely consult your practitioner. We're here to support you, okay? The other important thing to understand are die-off and Herxheimer reactions. Herxheimers are a real big deal here because Herxheimers, they're a temporary worsening of symptoms that can occur during antibiotic treatment. So a lot of times people say, oh, I'm allergic to that antibiotic. And we dig into it. What they had was a Herxheimer reaction at the time they had the antibiotic. After some certain bacterial infections, you can have just a big die-off. I would add mold to this. The word Herxheimer originates from a man who was addressing the spirochete infection. So syphilis and Lyme Both spirochetes, you kind of have these corkscrew shaped bacteria. When they die, they create a lot of toxic load. They create a lot of disruption in the body. And so this reaction of just this increased die-off experience was coined Herxheimer. Borrelia can do that. So all strains of the Borrelia bacteria that create Lyme, absolutely. Babesia is a parasite that's a co-infection. Again, that can create a Herxheimer. Mold clearing too fast, clearing any toxin too fast can create a Herxheimer. So when some of those pathogens die, they're going to create symptoms like aches, fatigue. You may feel like you're getting a flu, loose stools, diarrhea, urgent stools, urgent urination. We see a lot in kids. Body aches, headaches are a big one, and exhaustion. These are actually all healing responses. Now, we think it's very, very important that we support you through those. You need not have a miserable Herxheimer. A lot of you, we've done clarity calls and you say, oh, I really want to do this work, but in the past, detoxing is so hard on me. It's been so hard on you because you haven't been well supported. Those drainage pathways are not sufficiently open. Things you can do right now. We want to increase fluids. I want you drinking water. You can go above your daily estimated. Adding electrolytes can be really helpful. Potassium and sodium help fluid get in and out of all of our cells. So they're going to help you move trash, waste, nutrients in that need to help with that process. So increase fluids, more water, thin out. Think about it. If you have 1 drop of food coloring in a teaspoon of water, and then we add a cup of water to that, how concentrated is that red food coloring toxin now? Less concentrated. Same in your body. More water, we can thin things out. Same with the histamine response. Say you're somebody who deals with like MCAS type reactions, allergies, eczema, rashes, exhaustion, flushing, dizziness, fatigue, those sort of things. We want to thin out that histamine by adding more water to the body. So drink, drink, drink. We may also need to add or increase binders. That's something you want to talk with your practitioner about. Certain binders are connected to certain pathogens. Certain binders are connected to certain molds and will have success or not. So you want to ask and be sure that we're choosing binders that are helpful. And we want to make sure that we're binding sufficiently, but not too much. Sometimes we need liver support. Sometimes we need kidney support. Sometimes we've got to support the body and bring sauna in. If we've had mold issues, other means of getting toxicity out can need to be employed. So reach out to your practitioner. We're here to support you, but hopefully this helps you understand the direction of cure, flares, herxing, how to know